and welcome to my second consecutive Deadware video. So I guess I'm going to call this a sub-series now, which is actually a sub-series of a sub-series. So Deadware, a sub-series of Ben's Junk, which is a sub-series of Oddity Archive. Now, if I can think of another sub-series for Deadware, well, that'll be perfect. We'll have maximum absurdity by then. But yeah, that's not going to happen quite yet. So anyway, this is not going to be a history lesson. You may have seen the DIVX stuff in the video title and on these two DVD players, and I do indeed mean the pseudo video format, not the later codec. But yeah, I've done the history lesson thing twice on this. First, just a very brief one on the original Format Wars episode way back in 2012, and then I gave a more proper history lesson in the Disposable DVDs episode in 2016, I think. Either way, it's been quite a while. But when I made that original Format Wars episode, I was kind of annoyed because I wanted to end that episode with a attempt at resurrecting the old DVD player that my family had, our first DVD player. And of course, that DVD player was long gone. My folks had gotten rid of that long ago. So then when I did the Disposable DVDs episode, it kind of crawled up my butt again. But all these years, I have had, for some stupid reason, one bit of ephemera from our old DVD player, and that is the manual, complete with my dad's handwriting on the front. But it's a very thick manual for something so relatively basic. But yeah, I started looking for that particular model again, the RC5230Z. And in, 8 or 9 years worth of a running Fleabase search, I've not seen a single unit at any price. So yeah, I had to make a little compromise here. Both of these units are the 5230Z as opposed to 31. And the only difference is the 31 had DTS audio capability. But yeah, it's a minor compromise. And indeed, as far as DIVX goes, there never was, to the best of my knowledge, any DTS audio track on any of those discs. So it truly doesn't matter. So what we're left with is kind of what I knew was going to be underwhelming result of one of my stupid running life goals, my always totally impractical and again, just flat out stupid life missions. So yeah, I fairly recently fleabaited this 30Z, and I kind of gave it the Hall of Shame treatment on social media when I got it, because this wasn't even in a box. This was just chucked in a bag, like something you would send clothing in. So yeah, shock of shocks, this top unit arrived dead, damaged beyond use. And then when I posted that picture, a viewer of mine who had sent me like videotapes and stuff in the past already said, "Oh, I've got one of those. It's got a personality to it, but you're welcome to it." And I kind of remembered that our old one had a bit of a personality. And yeah, of course I took it, and yeah, I knew it would be packaged properly and stuff. So thank you, Ben A, for passing this bottom unit along. I still need to do a little bit of cleanup on this, but I think it's fine for today's purposes. So anyway, what we're left with here is me basically rambling about something that I can't really demo, although we will look at some stuff. There is one area of this I've intentionally not looked into since I've had this, but I'll discuss that when we get closer to as much of a demo as I can get here. So anyway, when I first got this thing, I tried to put it through its paces, and it was, first off, when I saw that home screen again, it was a true trip back in time. But I remembered that it could be pretty slow reading some discs, and indeed, another Ben, pointed that out when we were talking initially about this. So, yeah. But I decided to see, okay, what can I throw at this? And we'll see what it can do, because these early ones, you have to bear in mind that things like DVD-R movies weren't quite a thing yet, so not mainstream yet, at the very least. And just a lot of stuff that we normally would think of throwing in a DVD player, or in more recent years, a Blu-ray player, 4K player, and you can't necessarily do that with this. Now, I will say here that I'm not 100% sure where the original quirks of this end and age-related stuff begins with this, but yeah, we'll just chat a bit, of course. So part of me wanted to truly go hardcore with this and put in the first DVD that I ever stuck in my parents' old machine, but that disc is long gone. It was the original issue of Caddyshack on DVD, of course. Now, of the very tiny collection of DVDs that I owned as of February of 1999, when we got our original unit, this was the first one that I found, and I seem to only still have 2 of the original 4, at least in their original copies. So we'll just go ahead and say that the test drive was Blazing Saddles, this 1997 first generation DVD issue, and it read perfectly. Wonderful. So then my next thing was, okay, he was saying that newer DVDs don't read so good on this. Well, I've only purchased one new standard vanilla DVD in the last 5 years, and that was just this past Christmas season. I picked up A Christmas Story Christmas, and this went to streaming initially, but I had no desire to sign up for HBO Max or whatever the hell this thing was on. And then I saw this was getting a hard copy release, and yeah, I figured I'd much rather just drop the money on a real proper copy of this. But it was only released on standard DVD. No Blu-ray, no 4K, no nothing. But this did read eventually. I didn't clock it, but it seemed to take around 2 minutes for it to finally load. And I threw some other stuff in there, like the supposedly rot-prone mid to late 2000s Warner Brothers Made in Mexico discs. The couple I threw in were just fine. And the only things it truly did not like were, shock of shocks, recordable media. So yeah, it didn't like my something weird DVD-Rs. And I couldn't even play my own record on it because it's only ever to date had a CDR pressing, because I have to be confident that I can sell 300 copies of this for a silver disc issue. So yeah, and I just threw in some random discs too. And yeah, there seemed to be this, it's almost like they changed how DVDs were encoded sometime in the, we'll say mid to late 2000s, because my early first generation, we'll say first and second generation DVDs all read perfectly and in a timely fashion. And then once you get past, say, 05, then it's a slower read, but it eventually happens. So anyway, I suppose I ought to, even though I've shown these before, I ought to ramble a bit about the DIVX discs, and I suppose I need to reiterate my own experience with it. So one thing that I keep hearing in more recent years, YouTubers harping on about, is that this was supposed to be an outright competitor to DVD, and that it was supposed to be this great total separate entity. Players were supposed to be only DIVX players, but I haven't found any evidence of the latter statement. And as far as DIVX being an outright competitor to DVD, I've seen some rumblings of it, but none that would make any great sense. So I'm still going to call that hearsay. Maybe there's some trade article that I'm not privy to. Feel free to fill me in the comments here. But anyway, yes, we had the DIVX DVDs, and they were all, I believe all, don't quote me on this, standard 4:3 aspect ratio. So there were no widescreen ones that I can think of, at least. Dolby Digital audio only. No goodies, no special features on it. These are totally plain. And yes, there was a thing called DIVX Silver, where you could pay, I believe it was $15 for unlimited access to one of these movies. And then there was going to be a higher up thing called DIVX Gold, which never came to pass, which would be compatible with any standard DVD player. So I guess it would be a jailbroken DIVX disc, if that makes any sense. I don't remember there being anything all that specific to DIVX. I could be wrong. I've shown the error screen from these a couple of times on Archive over the years. But yeah, it's not like there's a great race for this. And indeed, if anybody is interested in hacking a DIVX, the only thing I could think of would be so thoroughly impractical it wouldn't be worth it. And that would be if you're really good with keygens. And of course, you would still need a landline. Bear in mind, these things communicated with a server. This is what makes it Deadware. A server that you contacted through a landline, and that server closed in 2001. And I should also note this server only checked in, so to speak, a couple times a month, and it wasn't quite as communicative as one would think. But anyway, I was starting to talk about what the market for this was. So back in the late 90s, of course, the big video rental place was Blockbuster, and they were not doing DVD yet when DIVX happened. And the price had gone up to $3.99 for a 2-night rental, I think it was, of a new release movie. Well, these DIVX discs were $4.49. And your 48 hours didn't start until you not only popped this in the machine, but also pressed play. And then you could renew it for another 48 hours for $3.25. Now, another leg up that they had, and I'm holding up this title on purpose, There's Something About Mary. This was at a time when not everything that was coming out on home video was priced to own right away. This was still going on in the late 90s. So with this movie in particular, when this came out on home video, as it were, it was only at the ultra inflated price that, say, Blockbuster would pay at like $90, I think it was back then, for a copy. So this kind of had a leg up in a way on the whole price to own thing. If you could do DIVX Silver on this, you could have owned this per se, servers notwithstanding, before this got a normal price to own VHS and DVD release and all that. So I think that's one thing that's been kind of lost to time here. But I've shown two of these. Those were the two contemporary titles. There's Something About Mary and Mafia. But yeah, these are probably more on brand for me. Of course, Young Frankenstein and the Blues Brothers, and yeah, I don't think this is a great movie, but it's a classic to somebody. The Breakfast Club. So anyway, what I want to do now is I want to hook this up, and I want to take a dig through the DIVX menu, because sometimes, from what I've seen, you'd get messages from DIVX every now and then, and you'd get receipts too. You renewed a title for that $3.25, or there'd be a special going on. You could, if you had the DIVX disc of whatever title, you could renew that one for only $2. And so some of that stuff is still known to lurk in the machine. So one thing I want to do is hook this up, see if it's still there. I'd say the odds are incredibly low of it, but yeah. And of course, I'll throw in some just basic footage. But bear in mind, these are, early DVD players. These are, they're not upscaling. There's no HDMI. HDMI didn't even exist yet. It was just composite or S-video back on that first generation. So yeah. We'll see a little bit of what it looked like, but really, again, this is Deadware at this point. And the whole reason I wanted this back was just more stupid, misplaced nostalgia than anything else. Well, that and maybe some hope that somebody with way too much time and resources would be able to come up with a multi-layered keygen or something to make this come back to life. I mean, I even fleabaited the original remote. Come on, I need to get my money's worth here. Come on, hackers, get with it. But anyway, enough joking around. Let's take a look at as much as we can of this.
For great advice about digital technology, head for Circuit City. If you're looking for a DVD player, make sure you choose one with DIVX. Only DVD players with DIVX play both DVD and DIVX movie discs. DIVX lets you watch movies at home for about what it costs to rent, but you never have to return movies or pay late fees. This RCA DVD player with DIVX is only $399.99 and get any 5 DIVX movies free after rebate. Plug into DIVX at Circuit City.
All right, well, I have had the ultimate brain fart of my career, and that's saying something. So I had totally forgotten that to access DIVX, you, at all, even any dead letters or anything that might be in there, so to speak, you still need a landline. So I figured I had nothing left to lose. There is exactly one remaining place to mount a phone on the wall in Archive HQ. I've never had a landline since I've lived here. But I figured I would try and hook the DVD player up to that. Thing is, the only cable I've still got kicking around was only 6 inches. So watch this little 1.5-minute vertical video and yeah, see how dumb this gets. Forgive me for the vertical video syndrome, but that's the only way this is going to work. I've got the dumbest setup of my life going here because I've got one little phone jack left in Archive HQ that has never had a phone on my watch and a 6-inch cable. So yes, I have stacked my machine on top of a couple of speakers, and we are indeed running out. I've got my half-working color Watchman going. And I'll see what we can do here. Nope, that phone jack is dead. Shock of shocks. Well, I guess I can't go any further, can I? And I know that won't work. Oh well. So with that, we'll just end with a quick little spin through the menu here, and then I'll end things truly with some direct feed footage. In fact, I am going to collect some footage as I'm going along here. If you see a reflection along the left side of the monitor there, that is my computer taking a direct feed of this. So anyway, if we go to setup, I think this only works if I have a disk in the machine, but we'll do a system test, which is really kind of meaningless. So let me go ahead and I'll just go ahead and pop Blazing Saddles in. And it'll try and play it, so I'll just hit stop when it comes up. And it does know the titles of most discs that you throw at this. See, Blazing Saddles. And I picked the 4x3 version just for visibility purposes, for something that you're not actually going to see. Again, things are not making sense today. But anyway, let's try the setup thing. And of course, with this, even back then, you could, if you did happen to have one of the early widescreen TVs, you could choose sound. This is the only time I've ever seen this on a DVD player, a built-in compressor. So I've got it on high compression right now, but yeah, I've never seen anything like that. I've seen midnight listening settings on AV receivers, but never anything built into a DVD player. Audio equipment, Dolby Digital by default, but of course you can do PCM, but there aren't that many PCM standard DVDs. But anyway, we were starting to head for system tests, so not that there's a whole lot to see. Of course, problem detected with DIVX, yeah. And it'll try and verify the phone connection, but there's nothing actually hooked up, and even if it were, the landline is not active right now. So we'll, check phone line. We'll just jump back here. Otherwise, I've never seen this anywhere else either, but I guess this would make sense because this was so early in DVD's run, but a glossary of terms. So, we weren't, not that we ever got used to multiple angles on DVDs, but something that was getting thrown around early on, at least. And I should note, my friend Jesse, aka the Media Hoarder, has a complete run through this glossary on his channel. But yeah, I've never seen anything quite like that. Otherwise, if I try and hit DIVX, it's just going to give me the same old screen. It's going to try and verify connection, but I can't get through enough to try and figure out if there's any leftover messages or stuff like that in here. So yeah, I'm kind of stuck, more or less ending at least my talking parts here. So I'm on the vocal front going to shut up for today. We'll close things out with just a few assorted little bits of direct feed footage so you can see it a little more clearly than, just my camcorder pointing at my monitor. So yeah, I'll talk to you again soon.
I get no kick from champagne. Some get a kick from cocaine.
Hold it, hold it!
Tell me, taxman, are you in show business?
No.
Well, then why don't you get your friggin' feet off?
By God, the neighborhood bullies reincarnate. What was once mere beatings and shakedowns had evolved into surprise attacks of mechanized terror.
Hey, you get back here! Hey, bring that back!
For any breach of the skin, from a splinter to a decapitation, was a healthy swab of Bactine.
I can't stop this feeling. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me.
Go ahead and hate your neighbor. Go ahead and cheat a friend. There won't be any trumpets blowing come the judgment.
Ay, qué fiebre, ay. No, ay, ay.
Cocaine.
Hold it! What the hell is that shit?